Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Neverending Train. I am your DM, Kai, and this is a rather special episode because we only actually have one player today. And would they like to introduce themselves?
Hello, I'm Modmad, and I accidentally caused all sorts of problems with the end of the last one. I guess a heads up for people listening to this game, which will be about the engineer and other things. This one's probably going to be a bit heavy. Oops.
Yeah, we are probably going to cover not quite as many topics as happened in the last session with the engineer, but we are still going to be dealing with some pretty heavy stuff, especially at the beginning, so massive warnings for like everything depression related when it comes to this.
Also, if you haven't listened to the Staircase Carriage game yet, definitely do that one first, because this is going to start out with spoilers.
Yeah. Always good to kind of stick to things being in order and, making sense. We say absolutely ignoring the sense of a timeline for the sake of Tacky Train Reunion.
It's fine. We needed closure.
That is true. All right. Here we go. We start off, or rather I say you start off, lying in a tank of thick, clear gel that you feel healthy, which you're fairly sure shouldn't be how you're feeling, considering your last memories are of falling and missing the rope and falling some more, and then you're not quite sure past that. But physically, you feel fine, and you're staring up at a blank ceiling. And what's going through your mind?
Strangely, kind of not a lot outside of the immediate literal visual thing, because the thing is, like, to make this clear, he did not jump with the intention of falling. The problem was that once he realized he was falling and that there was very much no easy way to prevent this, he kind of just accepted the fact that he was. Also, this guy was a stuntman for years and years and still is, and he kind of has always suspected that he would die when the stunt goes wrong. So he was just like, okay, this is how it happens, and kind of took it with as much dignity as you could in that situation. And now he's woken up, but he's still in that emotionally vacant, radio static place. So he's not emotionally processing anything, and if you can see him, he's completely grey. He has not been 100% color, like, desaturated, apart from one other time in his life, and that was like not good for him either. So yeah, he's in a real weird state of mind. Question, like, what does this feel like to breathe? Because he's in goo, you say?
You are thankfully not completely submerged, especially considering the shape of your head, so you have actually got your snout just sticking out of the goo. It's more, the sensory deprivation tanks, where you're lying in like a couple of inches of like warm, like body temperature water sort of thing.
Okay.
It's like, it's clear goop, like clear gel instead of water, and there isn't a lid over you.
Okay, I think he would lie there for a bit. I guess he would make a perception check, like he's just checking in with his senses rather than like necessarily being interested.
Mm-hmm. So you're not sitting up or looking around, it's just what you can currently sense from where you are lying?
No, it's going to be easier if I do sit up. Like, eventually he's going to sit up, but it takes him a while. It takes him a while to even decide to do that.
All right, roll me perception. What a way
that
to
was
start!
A nat 1. A nat 1 plus 4 is still a 5, but it's like that is actually where he's at. That's where he's at. That does make sense.
Yep, fair. The dice know what's going on. I love that
they do.
We're both going into this, like, strung out as all hell for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And the dice are immediately going to undermine any sort of anxiety. We're giving you a 1.
Superb.
Yeah, you sit up. you look around. You're in a room. Even with the crit fail, I am going to still give you some basic details, partially going off what your passive perception is as well.
Yeah, that's a 14. That's something.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna kind of like split the difference and make it about a 7.
Okay.
So you look around. You seem to be in the middle of a row of other little tanks identical to the one that you're currently in. It's a very narrow room and very long, as these tanks just kind of stretch out along it. One thing that you do notice that does seem kind of strange here is the walls are very bare, and not as in bare as in they've just been splattered with paint and there's nothing else on them, but as if the walls have kind of been stripped away to show what's underneath. There is nothing really there. You are in an unfinished room filled with tanks.
That's weird. It's also kind of how he's feeling right now, if that makes sense. Like, there's just the structure of this guy left. Like his personality is like switched off. He's like, he hasn't opened his mouth, and I think, like, especially with this guy's character design being CGI, and like he looks like he doesn't have a mouth right now. It's kind of weird. Here's an odd question for you. When he's sat up, like, what's he wearing? Like, where are we at with that situation?
You are still wearing exactly the same clothes you were in before. I will leave you to describe them as you choose, but it's going to be the clothes you have been stuck in the entire time while you're on the train. They are entirely saturated with this clear goop that you've been laying in, from like your top to your pants to your scarf to your hat. Everything that you've got on is drenched in this stuff. You can kind of feel it slightly tingling against your skin, but it seems to be a good sort of tingle as opposed to a bad tingling.
Weird. I think he would just sort of absently like look at his hand and like check that it's like physically attached to him, even if he's like got no emotional attachment to himself right now. Oh, for those listening, like, this is a bit cheeky because this actually happened in a written RP session in the server. But the engineer has a scarf now, which is nice, and it's pink, and it's hand knitted, and it was made by Loopsy, who was in one of the previous Carriage games, and that was a really, really fun episode in contrast. And yeah, so he's very much desaturated in terms of feathers. His coat is like, it was already pretty desaturated. It's like kind of dark desaturated brown with pink highlights, and they look kind of washed out as well. But the scarf doesn't. The scarf is made of love, and it's still pink and nice. I think his hat probably would have got stuck in that goo if you're describing he was lying down.
Yeah, when he sat up, it probably, considering how kind of thick the goop is, it probably would have gotten stuck when he sat up.
Yeah. I think, like, he automatically, like, after sitting up and checking that he is attached to this body and it's still working, which it probably shouldn't be, there's a part of him is aware of that, I think he would actually get out of this thing. And then he'd notice his hat was missing and kind of reach for it, but his hand stops before he picks it up. Because the thing is, that's an engineer's hat, and it's such a, like, it's been an iconic part of his identity. Like, it's like, that's the engineer's hat. No one else has a hat like that, apart from maybe the merchandise of versions of it that he sells to get some money. But like, I think, like, he has gone through so much. He's having a massive identity crisis right now because he's failed as an engineer twice now, in like the duty to look after people on a train, even if this wasn't his train. And I don't think he feels like he can pick that hat up. I don't think he has the claim to that status or that name anymore. I have no idea what this guy's name is right now.
So you are just currently, well, he is just him. You are just you. It is, you're not quite sure what you are. Are you still, are you still sitting in the tank, or have you gotten out?
I'm gonna say he's got out by this point.
All right. Are you leaving the hat in the tank, or at least bringing it with you as part of part of your personal history, even if you're feeling detached from what it means?
I don't think he does. I think he leaves it there.
Fair enough. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
Well, owing to how spectacularly bad that perception roll was,
Yeah.
is there anything about this tank that I recognize?
No, it doesn't seem familiar at all. It is the same sort of size as the weird boxes that you were brought in, but it
Mm.
seems to be the walls seem to be a fair bit thicker, and it's also actually attached to the ground.
Okay. Okay, well, yeah, he's going to give that a look and not be interested particularly. But you did describe that the wall was kind of unmade. I think he would navigate towards that out of curiosity. He's never seen that before.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to roll investigation to kind of like check out the wall a bit more?
I sure will. I have an amazing plus nothing in that.
Well, it's not as if the +4 saved you, so it's like 7.
Yeah,
That's
7.
that's 7. All right,
He's
again.
very vacant right now.
Yeah, he's very out of it. All right, as you have like a closer look, you kind of see that things are very bare bones. You get a kind of better look here of things not being quite well made, and it feels just like solid metal walls. You can kind of see the rivets in something. This might be something a bit akin to you'll have been in warehouses and such before. It's something just like the inside of a warehouse wall. It's there to be functional rather than actually look good. There are like some pipes and girders and such running along it. And as you actually look a bit further down on the wall, you do see a doorway. And it's like the doorway seems to actually have this. Even with that 7, I'm going to give you some things just so you know where you are.
Okay.
But you notice kind of a doorway further along, but it's not actually a door. It's where a door would be placed if there was a door in this carriage. You don't actually know if you're still on the train, to be honest, but you notice that the shape of the doorway is the same shape as all the other doors that were on the train.
Okay. I think he looks at it, and you know what? He's fucking done with doors. I don't think he goes towards it. I don't think he's even going to, like, investigate the fact that there isn't a door where there should be one. He's just like, he's automatically assuming he's on the train because this place has become this repeating hell, or at least, limbo for this guy. So, there's some automatic part of him that assumes he has to complete something here in order for the door to appear. That's been how it works. So even if he doesn't feel angry about this or sad like he ought to, because he's got nothing happening. He's just in this depressed television snowstorm state. I think he's going to walk around a bit more and have another look if there's anywhere else to go. So I guess another perception roll.
Yeah, roll another perception. Consider I would love to tell you more, but I can't with that one. Okay, with an 11 I can.
Getting better. He's very slowly waking up.
Yeah. The dice know what's going on. Okay.
They really do.
Yeah. You have a little bit of a better look around, and now that you're not just stuck in the tank, you can see a little bit more. You notice like an empty doorway or like opposite the doorway that you just had a look at that seems to lead further into the carriage. You also notice at the far end of the room that you're in, there does seem to be like a bank of little flashy lights that you can't quite see properly because they're kind of tucked around a corner, but there does seem to be something small and kind of flashy glittery there. And you get a better look at all these tanks, and you notice that all but one of them are empty.
Oh, he's gonna look at the one that's not empty.
Okay. You head over to this one. It's a couple of tanks down from where the one that you had been laying in, and you see a person, and they are unconscious. And when I say a person, I mean a lion that looks like they're made out of a rag rug. And they are lying in this tank, eyes closed, unconscious, with like the clear goop matting their fabric fur, and they just out of it. They are completely out of it.
I want you to know, as soon as you described the line made out of a rag rug, my heart went, ah! Oh my god! I love stuffed cuddly toy lions.
I did art to prepare this. I would also like to say, when I say it's a lion made out of a rag rug, like they are legit lion sized. They've got like a massive mane. They are how big a lion would be if a lion were stretched out on their back and like a little bit more humanoid.
Oh my god, like out of character because the engineer is nowhere right now. I want that! I want to hug that so much. Okay, that's awesome. Does this individual look like damaged?
No, they look to be in pretty much one piece. Other than like as you take, actually, roll me investigation. I'll see if I can tell this to you.
Okay, here comes the amazing straight D20.
14. That's nice. Okay, with that, yeah, you peer in and you take a closer look and you notice that some of like the fibers aren't like the fibers on her arm and around her shoulders and such don't seem to be quite in one piece, but as you watch, the goop kind of seems to sparkle around those damaged areas and you watch as the threads stitch themselves back together.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. In fact, like one of his ears does a sort of side twitch.
Do you want to do anything?
This is the thing, like, if it looks like she's being mended, he doesn't actually want to interrupt that process. So he might come back here after he's looked at those shiny buttons.
Entirely fair. Time to head over.
Is that okay? I think, yeah.
Absolutely.
He's not going to interrupt anything happening. Like, he knows enough that, interrupting a healing process is probably not smart.
Yeah, probably a good idea. All right, you leave her and you walk like the couple more steps that it takes to get to the bank of flashy lights and buttons. And as you get there, I'm just going to run off your passive perception from now on. I think. Just
okay.
So you
Thank
do know
you,
what's
because
going on.
that's going to be better than anything I roll, apparently.
As you explore a bit more, you notice that they've got banks of little flashy lights and buttons and everything, but right above that is a screen with a layout with dozens of little rectangles displayed on the screen. Most of them are crossed out in red. One of them is black and flashing, and there's another one that is a very yellowy sort of green.
Whoa. I mean, my guess is that it's a layout of the train, and considering he's an engineer, if that's correct, would he be allowed to guess that?
Yeah, he can guess it if he wants. I'm not gonna stop either you or him guessing anything.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be his supposition. On the other hand, he is a mechanic. I think he would maybe try and investigate this.
Yeah, if you want to roll investigation, or do you actually have a proficiency in building stuff in terms of
that's the thing,
yeah,
I don't know how we play that, because there isn't a mechanics role. There is only basically investigation or arcana, which this doesn't really feel like.
I would say do investigation with advantage because you know your way around mechanical stuff.
Yeah, you sure? Okay. Yeah. Okay, good, because that was a 1. That's a 2! He don't know shit about this place! The dice really do know.
I was gonna say, are you sure the dice isn't weighted badly, but we're literally using a random number generator on Discord.
No, I trust the gods of the dice. If they want me to have a 1 or a 2, they give me a 1 or a 2.
Okay, with a 2, you are absolutely certain that this is a layout of the train.
Great. Okay, super. He's gonna go back to the lion now.
The lion, the lion is still unconscious in the tank. The goo does seem to have made some changes to the damage on his shoulder. It has not healed up completely, but it's not glittering and sparkling quite so much as it was before.
This is really tricky because he's mechanically he's interested, but he has no feelings right now. He's just this husk right now. So even if a part of him would have been moved and even angry on its behalf or whatever, he doesn't have enough concern with the empathy And it's like, I can't actually decide whether or not he would try to wake this person up now or later. I mean, he's been in a lot of carriages, right?
Mm-hmm. He's been through a
And so,
lot.
yeah, so some of those carriages he was probably stuck in for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's not in a hurry. I think he would go and investigate that other door, knowing that he can always come back here and talk to this person when they're good and ready to be talked to. Like, he's not going to wake someone up out of a coma if they need to be mended.
Yeah, sounds fair. If you're going to go investigate like the other door, I will say it isn't thankfully enough, considering you want to just avoid any doors at the moment. It's just an empty archway rather than like a specific door
Okay.
that you need to open.
Awesome. Well, you know the kind of door I was talking about, like a regular door. He's like, this is novel. An ordinary door. Hallelujah. Okay, let's go through this door.
All right, you go through, and you are immediately greeted by a massive pile of detritus, of just bits and pieces of junk that seem to be like rising up. Like, I'm gonna say they're rising up like a third of the way to the ceiling of this carriage. As you look up, you realize that's a pretty amazing feat, because this entire carriage has got to be like 100 meters tall.
You cut out at the end, but I'm guessing you said like 100 feet
Yeah,
or something amazing.
I said 100
Whoa.
meters, which translates to about like 300 feet. So it's
Oh, okay.
the ceiling is now you're actually looking up, thanks to the giant pile of junk. The ceiling is really, really far away. This mound of junk is about 30 meters tall. There's a lot of stuff there.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, is that literally all I can see? I mean,
There are obviously ways around it. The mound isn't actually blocking you from walking. It's just kind of you go through this doorway, and this is the thing you immediately see. And even if you had rolled a 1 on perception, even if I had made you roll and you got another one, you would still see this ginormous mound of junk.
Okay. That's good to know. I mean, like, he has no eyes, but he isn't blind somehow. Don't think about it too hard, folks. I think he's going to, like, as it were, try to go around this as much as possible, because he doesn't feel. He's not feeling acrobatic and athletic. He's not feeling zippy zoomy, hey, let's go climb over the thing, which he might in the normal state. But he also doesn't want to collapse this thing against the door he just came through, because he wants to be able to get back there.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so yeah, you walk around. It's not too hard. There is plenty enough of a pathway. The junk pile does seem to be trying to keep it's more or less in one spot. It doesn't seem to be trying to spread out anymore. If anything, it's going upwards rather than out. So you reasonably easily can actually walk around. And I just got to roll one thing real quick.
Okay.
Okay, nothing happens then.
I'm not going to sweat here for a second.
It's nothing bad, don't worry. It's just I'm just kind of saying like, oh, does this happen yet? Does it happen yet?
Okay.
No? Okay. You walk around the giant pile of junk, and as you get nearer the front, you see two like strange mechanical devices that seem to just be arms with like giant arms with claws on the end. It's kind of halfway between a crane and those grabby claw games in arcades and such. And they're like hovering over the giant pile of junk, dropping their claw, picking it back up, moving it down, and then dropping it onto a conveyor belt.
Okay. Gonna look at what that conveyor belt is doing and like maybe what's being dropped on it.
What's being dropped is actually I will say, what's being dropped is individual items rather than like massive piles of junk. It's like an individual thing. So like there looks to be like a cardboard box that seems to be a bit on the fritz. It's glitching out a little. You've got another bit that's been dropped, and it's a grandfather clock that has the face has just gone spring out, and that's obviously not ticking right, and various odds and ends that seem to be broken or not working right, and they're being taken down this conveyor belt, and as they kind of get to one end of it, they get scanned. A blue light passes over them, and you look ahead and you actually see this massive screen with hundreds of little strange squiggles all over it, and a bunch of like, it seems to actually be measuring things. There are a couple of bars going up and down with every scan, and as you watched the cardboard box getting scanned, the screen lights up red, and the box is shunted off to the left, following another conveyor belt and through into a different room that you can't see into yet. The grandfather clock is the next up. It gets scanned. You see the squiggles all change. You see like a readout of it, basically. All little bars jumping up and down, and then screen flashes green, and the clock is shunted off to the right and into another room. And this keeps happening with item after item, and like sometimes it's a tree with roots stuck into the ground and all, and sometimes it's just like at one point it pulls up a cat that isn't actually going meow, it's barking like a dog. And is there anything you want to do as you watch this?
Okay, I mean, he's again very passive about this. There's a kind of removed interest. It's like an echo of what he would actually be feeling, because like this is a machine that's doing a thing, and he might actually, comprehend that this is for getting rid or recycling things that need mending, and like he's about that. However, the cat that barks is a bit of a thing, because like that's a creature, and yeah, I mean, can he get the cat?
Do you want to just pull it off the conveyor belt?
Yeah, he kind of just wants to investigate this cat. Save the cat. There's a literary joke for you if you read about films. Can he do that?
Yeah. Do you pull it off before or after it gets scanned?
I think he would get it off after it's been scanned, because A, that's more interesting. B, he's kind of sluggish right now in the responses.
All right, I will note then, when this cat got scanned, the screen lit up red. The cat was about to get shoved off through the left door, but you pull it off the... Actually, give me a quick dex save, just to see if you can manage to grab this in time. The conveyors are going kind of fast.
Okay.
Okay.
7, that's not good.
That's not great. You try and grab the cat, but your reactions are very, very sluggish at the moment. Your foot steps down like slightly wrong and kind of catches the edge of the conveyor belt, slips out from underneath you, and you land on your back. Sadly, the cat is shoved off into the other room, and it is gone.
Does this mean I'm on a conveyor belt right now? Because I've seen that happen in cartoons.
With a 7, like 7 is just high enough that I'm not also sticking you on the conveyor belt, thankfully.
Okay.
But no, you basically just slipped over and landed back on the floor.
Okay, well, he is also covered in goo still. I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
I think, however, this actually almost elicits an emotional response, like, because when he sits up and he sees the cat's gone, the hands that have pushed him back up, they leave some little scratch marks in the floor, like his hands just tense up, and he's done it again. It's that kind of thing. He's going to stand up and see if there's anything else that even remotely resembles something living that ends up on this conveyor belt, and he's going to try and get it before it goes through the scanner, if he can.
Okay, you watch for a while, and it's still mostly objects that don't seem to work right. You notice that some of them just seem to kind of be glitching out, but otherwise okay. Some of it looks like it's kind of broken from, like, years of use, and very occasionally items come across that seem to have been, like, purposely damaged by someone or something. There are one or two other not quite animals that have go past. One was kind of a robotic looking hamster, and another one was it was a bird made of glass, and it was tweeting and fluttering around, but it was definitely just made of glass. Do you want to grab any of those ones, or were you waiting for something else?
I mean, the internet kind of does huge love machines. On the other hand, this whole place seems to be machines. He's more interested in the glass bird.
Okay, give me another dex save then, and fingers crossed. I'm going to say you have advantage because you're ready to grab it this time.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And yeah, to confirm, I'm going to try and get it before it goes through the scanner.
Okay.
Okay.
Good thing you got
that's advantage.
That's
wow.
a nat 20
There's-
plus 3.
There's my nat 20 for you.
There you go.
I hope I haven't used it in vain.
Alright, you managed to grab this bird off the conveyor belt just as it's been placed on the conveyor belt by the claw, and the scanner kind of just scans thin air and has no reaction on the screen, but well done, you have captured this little bird. It seems to be like a blue jay, and the glass even actually has a very slight tint of colour to it, and as you hold it, it goes tweet, 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 tweet.
Okay, so here's the thing. The engineer can talk to animals, like, all the time. That's one of the things that totem type barbarian can do. Can he understand this bird, though?
No, because it's not an animal, it's a construct.
I had a feeling that was going to be the answer. Nothing
Sorry.
quite so simple. No, it's fine, it's fine. I think if the bird doesn't object, he's going to look it over and see if he can figure out anything about it, and like if it responds to him.
Yeah, give me investigation.
Yeah. 14?
That's a 14, that's not too bad. With that, like, you give it a good look, and while it does move very slightly as its head and throat kind of bobs a bit as it's making the same little twit 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 noise over and over again, otherwise it doesn't really seem to be moving. Its claws kind of twitch a little bit as you poke at its legs, but otherwise it's basically still.
Okay, so yeah, he's not sure what to make of this thing, because again, he's been through a lot of carriages and he's met NPCs, so shall we say, denizens of this train, who vary, to put it lightly, in terms of complexity. Like this almost feels like a clockwork toy, but he doesn't want to make that supposition, and I think he doesn't want to put it back on the conveyor belt, but he also doesn't want to interrupt this if it would help fix it. So what he's going to do is go investigate if he's able to go through that door, which the green light
right-hand
went
door
through. Yeah, the right-hand door. Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. I've got a rather scribbled out map here of the carriage just so I know where things are, because the layout of this carriage is a lot more complex than other ones I've done. So,
okay, I'm gonna hove the starboard then.
Alrighty, you head over into through the right door. You manage to. I'm gonna assume you do not get on the conveyor belt, do you?
Oh hell no! No.
The wise choice to make. Alright, you head through this door. It's a little bit odd to get through the door because it's obviously not made for, like, people to walk through. The door is basically there just so the conveyor belt can go through carrying whatever it's carrying. But you manage to actually just about sneak through, get your foot on solid floor on the other side, and hop through. And you are greeted by rows and rows and rows of little pedestals, and on each pedestal is an item or an object, and even a couple of things that might look like they might even count as people. They're all standing, like everything is completely still, and they're even more of these little claw arms, except these ones look a little bit more dexterous, and they are ducking through the wall. You have just gone through the door on the conveyor belt. You're seeing these rows. All the little arms are attached to the wall on the left-hand side of the room. The arms are actually ducking through holes in that wall, seeming like they're grabbing something, pulling it over into this room again, and placing it on in and like generally attached to all the various items and such on the pedestals.
I mean, this very much sounds and looks like a reparations production line. I think he would actually just kind of find a particular one that's interesting and watch it for a while.
Sure thing. What do you mean by interesting? What sort of things would you go looking for?
Again, like he's not got a lot in him right now, but I think he would be more interested in one that looks like a person. I think that's a fairly natural supposition to make.
Yeah, fair enough. Alright, you wander through this place a little bit, and when I say rows and rows, I mean, again, this room goes on for ages. There's got to be thousands of items in here. But you manage to find one that does look a little bit familiar to you. And not in the way that familiar that, oh yes, you've seen one of these people on the train before, but I mean, you're past from before the train, because this seems to be a person that looks like they might be a background character in a UPA short. And they have a strange belt around their waist, and they are standing perfectly still on this pedestal as a claw comes in and kind of injects it with something that looks like ink to fill up the fact that it seems kind of drained. It's less colour and more outline at the moment.
Okay, there's a lot of reasons why I'm going to ask myself to make a wisdom saving throw right now.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
An 11. I mean, he's already in a bad state. An 11 is remarkably good considering the weight of that. Also, to be noted, me as the player is like, yay, it's one of those from the teleportation carriage. The rest of me is like, oh god, this is like possibly the worst thing he could have witnessed.
Yep.
For a lot of reasons.
Sorry.
Oh god. No, I mean that's a situation. So he feels sick. He feels physically very sick, and I think he has to find something to lean against.
Okay, you turn away and you lean against one of the other pedestals, as you're just kind of like staring half at the ground, half at the wall, and like partially just into nowhere. As like on one hand, at least it was injecting ink back into the person. On the other hand, yikes.
Yeah. Yikes is where I'm at right now. I think he can't really bring himself to look at that again. And you just rolled a 7 for some reason. Does that interrupt his non-train of thought?
Well, you say train of thought. You are somewhat related there. As you are looking away, you kind of notice in the very far corner of this room this little sound as one of the little trains that you have encountered previously actually pulls up on a small set of tracks that curve around in the far corner, carrying it's pulling along another carriage that's just got an open roof. And as you watch, one of the claw arms picks up one of the items that had been on a pedestal, swings it over, places it on the back of places it on the carriage of that small train, and the train goes and starts actually heading back down the track and disappears into a wall.
Okay.
I'm giving you a lot of things to look at here. If you need me to repeat anything, just say.
No, that's fine. And I think that's actually kind of a blessing for him because he recognizes this. And I think this plus what he knows about, this is a common sense thing. So like he's putting it together. So this is a place where things or even people that have been made for this train, ? He's still not sure about that one. But they get sent here to be fixed, and then they get taken back to the respective carriages that they're designed for by the tiny little trains. Because they had a wonderful time in the train carriage. Such happy days, so long ago. So that gives him some satisfaction mechanically that he's figured that out, and it seems to be okay. That's actually something like this is like the first thing he's seen on this train that, as a machine guy, this makes sense to have a carriage that's dedicated to fixing things. And I think he's put the little blue jay on his shoulder, and he's stood up again now, and he's like giving it a little pat on the head, even if it's just an automatic thing rather than an emotional connection. But he has an animal companion, which is actually helpful. However, with putting together this very mechanized version of reparation and the healing tanks that he came out of and the other person is in, so this is a place to fix things that have got broken on this train. Yeah, there's an almost imperceptible change. He's still completely grey, but you know how I don't know if you ever interacted with ashes from a fire, but ashes, even though they are always grey, they can be very, very hot. And he just, there's a couple of little tiny ember sparks Like as he starts walking around, like every time he puts a foot down, there's a kind of a little of these very tiny amber sparks that come off him. So there's a bit of an emotional response to this. Not huge, but there is something. Yeah, at this point, I think he's going to go. Like, is there anything else to investigate in this particular part? Because I'm not sure there is.
Other than hundreds of random items, and like, if you were to ask me more, I would need to go hunting for like a random item generator because I don't have this stuff off the top of my head.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I think he would. Yeah, sorry. I think he would go back into the other room if there is not much else to look at in here.
Okay, yeah, you head back into. I'm gonna just call it the sorting room. And I'm actually gonna quickly roll another d10 to see if you notice this one as well, or damn it, still hasn't come through. Never mind. So you head back into the sorting chamber, and yeah, I will say though, you do notice now that you're actually walking back in, and you again that massively looming pile of frankly junk is still there, and you look just above it and you notice another set of train tracks just going through midair, coming from like one side of the carriage to the other, straight across the top of the junk pile. And the claws are still going, placing things on the conveyor belts. The sorting is still sorting things. There's still those flashes of red and green. And what do you want to do?
From the scale of this heap, I'm going to assume that he's going to make the assumption that I do, which is that the in-box is not being kept up with the out-box. Like, there's too much coming in to be handled by this process, right?
It's debatable. There is, from the looks of things, the junk pile is a bit bigger than maybe the various claw arms can handle, but it doesn't seem to be growing at this point in time. You do notice that it does seem to, although you having been in like the fixing room, it does seem to take time for each item to be repaired, and maybe, but there wasn't any build up of items to be repaired and not enough space to actually store them yet.
Okay. Yeah, he has a bad feeling about the door on the left with the red light, because if something's really broken, you kind of just have to dismantle it and maybe use the parts to fix other things. But there's this very uncomfortable situation where some of these objects aren't really objects. On the other hand, if they're really irreparably broken, it's like, and were they made by this train? There's a lot to go through here. I mean, I feel like there's something in this room that I've missed. Can I look at it again?
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking his time to mull this over, so it figures he would actually be looking at stuff at the same time. Crying out loud.
Let me see.
Nope.
Oh God, it's still no.
Oh
no.
Okay, sadly... I think the dice. The dice are telling me to try and go into the room he doesn't want to.
Yeah, this is like you have got like a couple options. You could stay here. You could like go rummaging through the junk pile yourself. You could try and make more sense of like all the various glyphs and such on the screen. But realistically, with those two rolls, yeah, you don't notice anything new about this room that you didn't see before.
He also doesn't know what to do with his bird, because
you just have a bird now.
I have a bird now. And, it's broken, but darn it, it's doing its best. And I think he's not willing to put it back on the conveyor belt before seeing what the red light is. So I think he very reluctantly is going to cross the room and go through the left-hand door.
Okay, are you being very careful about entering the door as well, or are you just kind of going...
Oh yeah, no, I'm not getting on the conveyor belt of death, no.
I've got to double check, I have to double check.
Again, if he was his usual zany self, I don't know, man, he'd probably think that was wild.
Okay, with you being careful, you actually get to the wonderful... You get to do the wonderful thing of when you try and step through to the floor on the other side, you notice that there isn't a floor level with the one that you are currently on in the sorting room through that door.
Oh good. Oh, wonderful.
So the conveyor
Do I have
belt...
to make a save?
No, because you were going specifically being cautious here. You notice this as you try and step. You don't need to actually you don't accidentally fall or anything. But like, you see the conveyor belt kind of just continuing straight forward and dropping off in mid-air as each item that it's shoving into this just falls, and then you hear like a clatter clunk as it lands on something.
Okay, I mean, can he make a perception roll? Like, if this is just like a dumping ground, that's gonna piss him off. But like, is there a recycling facility? I don't know.
Yeah, like roll perception. See what you can see as you peer into this rather dark room.
This is the game where Mod rolls perception and fails every time.
Yeah. Oh.
9. 7.
I don't know why it's doing this to you. I don't. All right, with that, you kind of peer in, but you can't really quite see anything. From what you can hear, though, you do hear movement, and it sounds kind of it. You can hear the sounds of like the little repairing arms that you saw in the other room, and you can hear those sounding like rummaging through things. And you hear like pops and hisses and sizzles seeming to come from a distance. But other than like it was those two things plus the sound of new objects clattering in, and that's all you can really hear from the place, and you don't really see much other than the conveyor belt dropping things off.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like taking another dive. He's going to retreat into the sorting room.
Okay, a wise move.
Yeah, I think like with that sound clue, he's going to guess that at least some semblance of reclamation is taking place. So, you know, even if it's a shame because clearly some of these things are just getting totally dismantled, they may actually be salvaged in another way. Again, like he's very mechanical right now. He's not emotionally attaching to anything apart from that UPA in the other room, which was the whole thing. But yeah, the thought that there might be UPAians who are broken and being put in here, that's very disconcerting. He doesn't like that idea at all.
Well, yeah, like, to be fair, it's... They were attuned in that, like, they did look very similar to a UPAian, but at the same time, it's... There's this little thing that... Oh, I'm not actually sure you would have noticed this considering how out of it you are, but at the same time, considering how experienced the engineer is with a lot of this stuff, and considering everything he's seen, he might have actually kind of recognized this. And there's a little like spark of life that regular toons tend to have, that little bit that gives them that bit of extra liveliness and movement. And maybe some rather poorly animated toons don't always have that spark quite so brightly, but it is there. The denizen that you saw on the pedestal in the repair room didn't really seem to have that. It might have just been because they were kind of frozen while they were being repaired, because you haven't actually seen them in motion, but it did feel like there was something a little bit different to them if you think hard on it.
Yeah, okay. Well, and especially because, yeah, he's lived and worked with UPAians for years, so I guess, like, yeah, he would probably recognize the absence of that spark of inspiration, I guess you'd call it. But even so, like, you know, even a mockery of life is something that it's quite uncomfortable to conceive of it being pulled apart and used for other things. So, you know, there is some part of him emotionally that is waking up at this point, because he's having to deal with that, and he doesn't know what to do with this bird. Like, he mechanically, he feels like he should put it back so that it can be reused and live again in some other way. Like, he's been denied the dignity of death, and that has actually kind of upset him in a weird way. Like, you know, he didn't want to die. On the other hand, it's almost insulting having had that finale removed from his grasp. Like, there is a sense of just deep wrongness about this whole situation. Like, ethically, this whole carriage is very, very uncanny, and he doesn't enjoy it. So I think he's actually going to keep the bird with him, even though it doesn't, as it were, make sense. I think at this point, I'm going to make a last perception check in the sorting room, and then I'm going to go back and talk to this lion.
Okay.
Please give me something. An 11.
Okay, what's that one? The dice just really hate you. Okay, on the plus side, I did just roll high enough that you do notice like a train coming across like the tracks that you saw above before, and you can actually get a pretty good view at it from where you're currently standing, and also because you got above 10 on your perception. So you can actually see it quite well, and you notice it lugging like a couple of carriages behind it that just seem to be filled with more junk, and you watch as those carriages tip over onto the pile and just deliver another pile of junk onto the already huge pile of junk, and the train then chuffs its way and vanishes through the other hole and continues on its little journey of like moving things about the train. So I will say, as one thing that does get delivered is something that seems to be it's familiar to you, but it seems like it's from years back by this point with everything that you've been through, but it seems to be something that looks quite like one of the little mice that you found in the underwater village in your very first carriage.
Whoa. Dude, that's a throwback. I think he would scramble up and try and say hello to it, or at least like see what the hell is wrong with it.
All right. Can I get a quick? Yeah, this is going to be investigate. Actually, we'll do dexterity first to see how well you can climb up the actual junk pit. You can do acrobatics if you want to try and like flip your way up.
Yeah, he hasn't got any super duper pluses in that, so it is going to be a straight +3.
Fair enough. Okay, with a 13, yeah, you do struggle a little bit to get up the pile. You feel stuff shifting beneath you, but as soon as you start digging your claws in, you can make your way. The mouse is near the top, so it is a bit of a climb, and you will be quite exhausted by the end of it. Not mechanically so, but you're definitely a bit out of breath. And you manage to get to this mouse who was just kind of like lying there in the junk heap, a faint smile on its face, just going, and making little humming noises every so often.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to stay on this potentially hazardous heap of junk. Can he carry it back down with him?
Ooh, you're gonna need to give me strength to pick it up, and then dexterity with disadvantage to get back down safely.
Oh boy. Is that a strength saving throw or just a straight?
Just a straight strength. You're not trying to save yourself here, just pick someone up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, the good news is...
This is a heavy mouse!
Or it's definitely heavier than what you would expect, but maybe that's got something to do with the fact of just how exhausted you already are from everything. But you do manage to pick the mouse up.
He's also got this glass bird to look after. I think he might actually put that in his pockets because he doesn't want to break it. That would be the worst thing that can happen. And you said Dex to get back down again?
Yeah, with disadvantage.
Disadvantage, oh boy. An 11, that's already not good.
Oh,
come on, I had a 22! What the only good roll!
No.
Never mind. 11 it is.
11, okay. You managed to get back down. You are not, you do not injure yourself, but it's kind of like you get a meter or so down, then your foot slips on something, and then you're basically sliding down on your bum. You do manage to keep a hold of this mouse. Neither of you actually get damaged from that, thankfully, but it's a pretty rough tumble back down the slope.
That figures. And again, slime. Actually, how slimy is he now? Has he got rid of some of that by doing this?
Yeah, I would say by this point a fair bit of the goop has kind of dried on you. Your scarf is still pretty sodden, and like if you're wearing any undershirts, you can kind of feel that little bit of stickiness still there. But like it's a lot of it's sloughed off, and anything that hasn't sloughed off is dried to you now.
Oh, to have prestidigitation. No. I think he gets out of the hazard zone, and he's He's not even got an ego to be affronted by this lack of grace. So he gets down to the bottom, and here's a weird thing, because he hasn't spoken up until this point, and he puts the mouse down and he tries to say something, and it's like he's lost his voice for a second. He actually can't he can't vocalize for a second, and I don't know whether this is to do with being tired or not really knowing who he is or even what he wants to say to this thing. He's not even sure why he's doing this. This is a guy who's usually so self-assured and doesn't even think about what he's doing. He just does it. He's all about gut instinct. And suddenly he's not even got that. He's so like it takes him a second, but he does say hello?
Mouse seems to take several seconds to actually respond, and in that time, in the background, you hear one of the claws, like, diving into the junk pile, where you're pretty sure exactly where the mouse was actually just lying. But the mouse does actually, eventually move its eyes to kind of stare at you. They seem to be rather unfocused, but at least they're pointed in your direction, and it just goes like, "Hello! Welcome!"
Thank you. Are you all right? Do you recognize me?
Welcome! Welcome to the village! We have so many nice things!
Oh boy, wow. Yeah, I mean, the mice are kind of short, right?
Yeah, they're, compared to the engineer, they're probably, like, half a head shorter.
Oh, well, that explains why it was difficult to get down with this mouse. Yeah, I always forget how tiny he is. He is a very small man.
And, like, these are toon mice. They're not, like, actual mice, so...
Yeah. I think he takes a step back and scratches under his chin because, this is not a regular toon. This is also not a functioning non-regular toon. This is a broken person, and there's almost a small piece of irony to the fact that this broken mouse is talking to a broken bird who is carrying a broken bird. But we're getting a bit too meta right now. He says, thank you. Yes, I remember your village.
Isn't it wonderful? We're all so happy here. We're all so happy here.
Are you really? Do you know what happy is?
We're all so happy here. Welcome.
Oh god, that's kind of weird. He pats this mouse on the head, and as he's doing that, you get a couple more of those little ember sparks. And again, it's not a conscious thing, but yeah, there's something going on in him. It's like, what do I do with you? Do you want to go back in the scrap heap?
We're all so happy here. Welcome. Hello.
God, this is so depressing.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
That the train is in.
This is real shit, dude. Yeah, I think he feels like he doesn't have a right to displace his mouse if he was so angry about having been displaced from his own demise, which he's slowly putting together that that's what he is. He's actually kind of like, you couldn't even give me that. You have to keep me alive and stuck in this place. So I think he gives this mouse a hug and puts it back.
Just back into the junk heap?
On the edge, like not just throwing it in, but like putting it there in the hope that it might be repaired.
Alright, it lies there and it continues smiling absently, humming every so often. As you kind of give it one last pat on the head, it goes like, "Thank you!" And continues just lying there without really moving.
I think that's enough to he gives it a little wave and walks around the scrap heap enough that he is sure that this mouse can't see him, and I think he just bends over double with his face in his hands. Like he has no idea if what he's doing is right. He has no idea if what this train is doing is right. He doesn't know why he's alive, and he thinks like one of the only people who might even begin to understand where he's at right now is that lioness. So he's gonna go back there after having a small nervous breakdown.
Are you doing okay? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
not, but
No, I mean, like, I get emotionally attached to characters really easily, you know
yeah,
this?
I know. I
So,
just want
like,
to make sure you're
I'm
okay.
sad for the mouse. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I just need to have a couple of breaths. But yeah, no, I think that's what he does. Is the little J still singing?
It
That's so
is.
cute.
It's still. It's basically a little bit like a tape on repeat, like a record that's maybe like skipping its track and it's just still going the over and over again. But it's still singing. And if you place it back on your shoulder, it will actually grip. So
Oh, that's so cool. I want one. Bless it. I think like there's a part of him that is now hoping that he can fix this bird eventually if he gets the right material and information. Like he could just leave it to this train, but it would go back into the system, and that's what he hates right now. This train like is amazing, and there's a huge part of him that still absolutely loves it, which is perhaps crazy to say considering what he's been through. But he doesn't think the train is bad. Like all machines inherently, they're not bad. It's how they're used or misused. And I think he's angry at the system, and he doesn't quite trust it enough to put this. You know, even though it's a broken clockwork, effectively, Jay that's just singing on loop, which almost would be annoying to some other people. But he's been so alone. Like having that is something, right?
it's something. It's at least something that mimics life, and that's better than being completely alone, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. There's also a whole other aspect of him that's been missing for a long time, but we may get into that later. So he's gonna head back. He's gonna go back to the lioness and see if she's mended sufficiently that he'll feel able to try and wake her up.
Yeah, sure thing. You head back in, and there doesn't really seem to have been any changes in the healing room that you can see. Like, there's still bare walls, dozens of tanks, the little strange box with the flashy lights in the corner. Um, and yeah, the lioness is still lying unconscious in her tank of goop. Like, as far as you can see, she does seem to be pretty much healed. There's maybe one or two bits of fabric that aren't completely stitched together. But
Mhm.
she definitely hasn't got like the hundreds of little bits all hanging loose little frayed threads sticking out of her
Mm.
anymore.
I think he's just gonna sit by this tank and wait until she looks as much recovered as he feels like comfortable with waking her up with.
Fair enough. Like, how long are you willing to wait?
Sorry, you cut out again.
Sorry. How long are you willing to wait?
To wait. Yeah, I mean, he's had a time, and patience is something that you have to have as a creative. You just do. Um, and I think he's been in this train long enough to know that some of these carriages can't be hurried. I think like there may have been somewhere he even had to wait for a particular thing to happen in order to activate whatever sequence would allow him to open the door. And even if this isn't the thing that needs to happen to open the door, like he's not gonna rush this. He's not going to hurt someone else because he's impatient.
Fair enough. In that case, I'm guessing you just sit there and you watch. And as you watch, you do notice like the goop in the tank still glittering very slightly, especially around the lion's injured shoulder. But like it takes a while because the more that it's healed, the slower that it starts to go. And you're there for around half an hour before you notice that it does seem to have stopped glittering. Like, she hasn't woken up or anything, but it does seem to be mostly healed. And I actually need to quickly check a thing. And okay, uh, as you are waiting, just before you kind of go like, okay, no, this must be as healed as it gets, you hear a noise from the ceiling. And as you look up, you see one of those boxes that people seem to be delivered onto this train in, come through a hatch in the ceiling and hover down, and it seems to be making a beeline towards where the lion is. What do you want to do?
Oh no. Oh, he's not gonna like that. He's gonna get her out of there. I mean, he knows what's gonna happen. But A, he doesn't want to lose the opportunity to talk to this person. But as with the bird, he doesn't want to put her back into this broken system. He doesn't want her to be broken again and end up here again, which, you know, clearly she's been through some shit too to end up here. So he's gonna try and get her out of the tank before that thing arrives.
Okay, give me a strength saving throw. I will let it actually be a saving throw because you are panicking here and you're trying to save someone.
8. Whoa.
What? You know what? Have advantage because I want this to work.
Are you sure?
For the sole reason of, okay, what is with these rolls?
I don't know, man. This carriage does not like the engineer.
No, okay. With a 12, you can't get her out of the tank fully before the box gets close. But you have managed to actually, because she is quite big. Again, she's the size of an actual fucking lion. And you are rather small. Exhausted.
Mm.
Yeah, but you do manage to actually get your hands underneath her shoulders, like, and actually hauling her half out, and you've managed to get like her head, her shoulders, one of her arms, but the rest of her body and her legs are still lying in the tank as the box like starts hovering above the tank that she's just been in, and it opens the little flaps it has underneath it and goes and starts very slowly lowering to try and like scoop up whoever is in this tank. And if she had been lying in the tank perfectly, it would have scooped her up quite easily. However, the fact that she's half out of it, it means one of the actual flaps in the box kind of gets stuck and it makes a sort of sound, and a little button on the top of it flashes red. What do you do?
I know this is crazy, but I think he's going to try and disable the flying box thing. And there's a few reasons why he might want to hijack this thing. I think that's what he's going to do. Like, if it's open, especially, like, there may be an access to the wiring inside that he could attack. But I'm not sure how to play this. I don't know if he would, like, straight up hit it with something or try to...
You could just make an attack roll if you want. I will note when it's like the bottom part is opening underneath, that's kind of just like the storage area for whatever person it is carrying around, as opposed to there being any exposed wires underneath. But there is that little red light on the top that maybe indicates there is something there. That is where like the machine thinking is going on. So
I think he would go straight for that. I think he's going to try and sabotage this thing.
Okay, roll to attack then, I guess. What weapon are you using?
I think he's just gonna be full-ass feral and use his talons. I can't imagine that he would attack this with a sword. He'd be too worried about breaking it too permanently.
Yeah.
And he's not raging. It's just like normal. On the other hand, he does have dual wielding, so he can basically attack 3 times.
Okay, make me an attack roll for like your first swipe, I guess. That's not enough. Your claws bounce off against the metal. That
18?
Is enough, and you actually manage to, as your claws swipe down, you actually manage to get a grip underneath that little panel at the top where the light is flashing, and you roll me damage.
Okay, it's not huge, obviously.
No, but a 6.
Max damage, though!
Yeah, with that, you are actually strong enough that as your claws catch, you manage to rip this panel off, and beneath you see a bunch of little sparking wires now that you've lifted the panel off, but you also see like something that seems to have those little strange little symbols that match up to the symbols on the big screen in the sorting room. That seem to kind of be flashing almost in a warning.
Okay. I mean, I guess I should make an intelligence check to see if you can figure out what that thing does.
Yeah, or like intelligence or investigation or maybe even insight, I guess, but
I will take insight if I'm allowed.
Yep, go ahead.
I do have a +4 in that. 14.
Nice. Alright, so with the 14, yeah, with insight, you can kind of guess that these symbols there are kind of the instructions of what the box is currently doing, and it seems to be going, warning, something's not working. And it actually closes the flaps beneath it and starts to try and rise, but you are still hanging on, so...
Okay, I think he's going to disrupt that. I mean, ideally, he would remove whatever it is that is remote controlling this thing. But I don't know if a 14 is good enough to identify.
No, sadly not.
Okay, he's just going to attack that control panel and hope that by removing it, it will just disable this box and he can figure out how to
Okay.
reuse it.
Yeah, roll to attack. You dip your hand into like all these little wires and such.
Okay.
With a 21, your claws go deep into the wiring and like that little display panel there. Roll me damage, and you are actually going to be getting a little bit of electric shock from this.
Worth it. Totally worth it.
So yeah, please take 2 damage from...
Oh, woe is me!
Oh no, what will you ever do? But with 4
the engineer
damage...
died again, I can't believe it.
Like, you basically stick your hand right into these exposed wiring, grab that little display panel and a bunch of wires surrounding it, and then rip them right out. And the box immediately just goes new and basically shuts down and lands on the floor. Not hard, but it's definitely not working anymore.
Okay, that's fine. I think he takes a moment to collect himself. But this is a small victory. Like, this is an act of rebellion, and he's been wanting to do that for a long time now.
Well done, you destroyed a thing.
Hey! He has every intention of fixing the thing and using it to his own ends. However, that's going to come secondary to talking to this lion that he's half exposed from the goo. What's she doing right now?
She is starting to kind of murmur in her sleep. She's not quite awake, but the way that you have disturbed her does seem to have risen, like, woken her up from slightly bit of a coma, so now it's more deep sleep as opposed to entirely unconscious.
Okay, I think he's acting on the idea that he probably doesn't have a lot of time, because that thing will have sent some kind of message to wherever. So he's gonna scuttle over to her and gently hold her head up and try to rouse her. It's just like, hey, hello, are you all right? Anyone in there?
It takes a little bit of effort, but like as you kind of shake her and make little noises and everything, she does kind of seem to stir a bit, like, where am I? And her eyes flick open. And I will, at this point, finally post a picture of her for people that haven't seen her already. One moment. And I will also note, she isn't actually a toon, she is Muppet born. So when I say she's made out of a rag rug, that's not just how she's drawn, that's literally what, like, her fur and body has been made in the shape of, or how she was more or less born, because again, Muppets.
Oh, I love her! Oh, I love her so much. Oh, I mean, the bird was good, but this is next level. Oh, I love her.
You had just woken up the lion, or shall I say lioness, because while she does have a very glorious mane, she's wearing a very pretty pink dress. And as she kind of sits up and wakes up, she's got like beautiful eyelashes as well. She's like, oh, like, what's going on? Where am I? What's going on? Who are you?
And he was going to answer some of those questions, but the last one is a bit difficult to answer. He says, well, who I am is an ongoing debate. I'm a friend. Are you okay?
Last I saw, there was just so much glass raining down. It was a bit of a mistake. We hit a bump. Like, this train is going wrong, and it was just glass falling, and then where are we?
Oof, that sounds rough. And if she doesn't mind, he's going to give her a gentle pat on the mane and is yeah, trying not to be angry on her behalf and failing considerably. There's actually, yeah, he's quite warm. He's quite warm. She'll probably notice that hand's quite warm.
I think she will kind of flinch back a little bit at first, but it's not so much like, oh no, don't touch me, flinch. It's more just like, oh, hand. Sort of like, didn't quite realize it at first, because like her eyes are flicking everywhere as she looks around. She is rather nervous right now, but she kind of sees the rows and rows of tanks. She feels kind of all the goop and stuff in her fur, and she starts trying to like wipe it off with her paws. Like you can see her little braided tail flicking about as she looks around. And then she notices her little yellow handbag still lying in the goop chamber, and she quickly, like, her hand darts out to pick it up. And was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like a little bit confused here. I don't know what's going on. But hello, sir. It's nice to meet you. I'm Tatterdemalion."
What a lovely name. I'm very sorry to say I think we've both been through the wars. As close as I can make it out, this is some sort of recovery bay, a sort of medical bay. That goo, unpleasant though it may be, has been mending you. I've been keeping an eye on it while it was fixing you. I hope you don't mind. I was just trying not to wake you up before it had done its work, but then that thing came along, and he's gesturing at the egg pod, and he's like, well, I didn't particularly want it to take you away. Is that selfish of me?
Oh, it's well, I can't say I've got any love for those things, with considering where they dumped me the first time. But it's fine, I guess. This isn't any weirder than anything else that's been going on here.
Pardon me if this is a sort of question as it is for me. Have you been on this train for very long?
Oh, who even knows what time is anymore? But a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two. Can't be much longer than that, though. I really, really hope not. I've got to get home.
You and me both. You and me both. And he's, yeah, he kind of is. He doesn't want to pat her if she's not, after the first response. He's like, oh, not everybody's okay with pats on the head, so he's withdrawn from that. So he's redirecting that onto the little blue jay. So he's like giving that a pat on the head instead, because he's a really tactile guy. Like that comes out.
She doesn't notice him pulling away. I'm sorry. If she had, she would have done something. But like, no, she's still kind of too busy looking around.
Yeah, but I mean, the rolls he was making when he got out of that chamber, like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Also, sorry, can you say her name again? Because you cut out right when she said it.
It's Tatterdemalion. I was said it correctly. Tatterdemalion.
Tatter's so good. Yeah. Oh, I love her.
She's wonderful. I've had her for years. This is my first chance getting to use her, and so I'm really happy. She works well as a Muppet Born.
I feel very touched to be the first person to meet this lovely, lovely character. Yeah, I think he gives her a second to recover herself. Let's do the doomed perception roll again to see if he notices anything new. I mean,
14. That's not too bad. So yeah, like as Tatterdemalion kind of sits up properly, hauls herself fully out of the tank, and kind of starts like wringing out her fur, like especially her mane, and trying to get the goop back into the tank because she doesn't want to make a mess. Yeah, you have another look around, and one thing with that 14 I will say that you notice, especially as Tatterdemalion's tank is a bit further towards the blinking flashing lights thing, you notice that now with the dozens of rectangles that were on the display screen before, like it was a bunch of red rectangles, one flashing black panel, and one green, and one like almost green panel. You now notice that the one that was green before is now also kind of red flashing black.
Oh, I'm so stupid. Those are the tanks, they're not train carriages. Oh my god. That's so obvious. I'm doing good today.
You made a good guess.
No wonder I rolled so bad.
Entirely fair guess.
Well, I mean, the investigate roll is clearly a reflection on my brain as well. Okay, right, fine. Okay, I think we've got enough common sense to figure that one out. Yeah, he's now like, okay, there are two things that are being recognized by this whatever it is machine as being bad? Question mark. So yeah, and they've sent one thing to collect a person, so they might send other things. I think he's going to like try and talk to her while he's trying to. I mean, I want to say sabotage, but it's not really. It's just rewiring, repurposing this the floaty egg thing so that he might be able to use it to. I don't know, like ride it. It might be useful to be able to get to the top of this extremely tall carriage. You never know.
Yeah, it might be. Oh, you don't have. Have you got like any like skills or proficiencies that might be useful with this?
I mean, I don't. I don't know that there are many feats for.
Like, if
I
you
mean,
were,
maybe there are if you're an alchemist. I
like,
mean, artificer.
yeah, if you were an artificer, you would have stuff that would be able to help here. As like,
Yeah, I
as
don't
a
think I do.
barbarian, you don't get much, sadly.
I mean, he's got a history of 60 years of tinkering with machines. So you, if you were feeling generous, you could give me advantage. But I don't have a D&D feat or thingy
I'm
to do
happy.
with that.
I'm happy to give you advantage with this stuff. It's just trying to work out what to make you roll. Okay, so what exactly are you trying to do other than like get it working again? What is your specific goal, or are you just tinkering?
He just wants to be able to use it to transport both of them. Ideally, like if there's a way to get out of this carriage and use this thing to escape or get to other carriages, like rather than being forced to go places involuntarily, he's looking for any possible way of doing his own shit. Like he doesn't want to mess with the tiny trains because she's way too big to fit on a tiny train, and he has considered this up to this point, like getting out via one of those little ones. But he also messed with those, and that went very poorly. Well, he didn't mess with one of them on purpose, but when you put those tiny trains off schedule, it goes very badly for the tiny trains, and he doesn't want to do that.
It's mean to the trains. Alright, well, in that case, I think just roll me straight up intelligence with advantage, because there's not really anything else here I can think of that you would be rolling. Okay.
With advantage, did you say?
With advantage, yeah. So that's 11 and an
18. An 18!
There's the good rolls.
Thank you. Right. When I need it, you came in clutch, dice gods.
All right. With that, as good as an 18 is, it isn't going to be enough for you to get everything working perfectly so that you can direct things. But you do manage to wire the panel that you ripped out back into it.
Oh,
so and you can hear the kind of humming as it turns back on. However, something does still seem to be a little bit disconnected. So it turns on and starts hovering about a foot above the ground. It's the actual, like, the thing beneath it close up, so it is actually a closed box again. But you have, it's turned on, the little panel's flashing, like, got little green text on it that's probably, that you can reckon probably stands for, like, waiting or, like, hold or something similar, because it's just staying there and not doing much else right now. But you got it working again.
Okay. He's not entirely sure that this is a good thing. How is Tata doing?
Like, Tatas has been actually, like, yeah, she has a lot of mane and there was a lot of gunk stuck in it, so she's mostly spent that time kind of wringing it all out and then pulling, like, a very wide tooth comb from her bag and smoothing it all out and trying to get it all off her dress, and just, she's very quietly muttering to herself, going like, it's all okay, it's just another carriage, we can get through this, think deep breaths, Tatas, deep breaths, Tatas, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Little encouraging comments to herself as she tidies up, and you kind of get the impression that this is a little bit of a self-soothing activity as she puts herself back together again, physically, if not mentally. Yeah,
he's 100% sympathetic with that and does not call it out or stop her from doing so. So yeah, I mean, in his own way, fixing a machine is kind of what his equivalent of that is. So he's putting something back together in want of being able to put himself back together.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you have, what you've got to help yourself
Mhm.
survive in this place and keep yourself sane. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I
As
think after he's fixed that, he says, let's see, do you know anything about technology?
Afraid not. I'm more of a homemaker than an artificer, sadly. But you got it working again. Like I reckon if you can do that, you can tell it to take us anywhere, right? Well, if there's anywhere to go.
Oh, an optimist. What I haven't. Oh, I have been praying to meet a soul like you. Um, well, how very kind of you to say so. I'm not sure if I can. He's looking a little bit concerned about that the panel with all the symbols on it that he just what the heck is this? This is not his home territory. This is not a steam train. This isn't even clockwork. So yeah, he's a little out of his depth, but he's got to take any chances he can. I guess he would try and figure out some of the language of it because she's encouraged him to do so.
Okay. Roll me. I reckon this is going to be insight. Then it's still going to be you very much guessing at things again. Because you don't really have much frame of reference at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay,
15.
15's not bad. With that, yeah, you can kind of work out that the symbols are not meant to be read like left to right, top to bottom, like you would be used to in common. But they kind of spiral a little bit, or at least they're meant to be read like maybe something a bit circular. They're not lines, it's something that's much more curved than that. You can, once you manage to figure that out, you can kind of make out individual glyphs, but you can't read the thing as a whole because frankly you have no frame of reference of what this language is. You are pretty certain about like the current one being just like hold, though, as in maintaining a holding pattern.
He's just looking like, oh, pick, this is all Gallifreyan to me. I'm gonna try and figure out if I can steer this thing. Do you want to go for a test ride?
Well, depends where you plan on going, I guess.
I'm not sure. The thing is, through that wee door over there's a giant scrap heap which seems to be being sorted out into things that can be repaired or not. I wouldn't recommend going down the red door. Certainly not on the the belt that was carrying things that way. But I think we were supposed to be fixed in here, and that wall looks a bit shaky. I'm going to see if there's any place in this room that's structurally unsound, shall we say.
Okay, I wasn't expecting you to go just bashing down with the walls or anything. I'm not saying don't, because this is great, but this was not something I was initially expecting.
Hey, I mean, the guy deals with demolitions and explosives as well as other things.
I should have thought of this. Oh,
he's not going to smash into a wall straight away. He's going to like take a tour of this room and see if there's any, there's a place that conceivably could be broken. But if not, he's going to like repeat this exercise, but in the next room, basically.
Okay. Are you gonna try? You're gonna try and smash into it on the box that you're on, right?
Sorry, you cut out completely.
Sorry. You're going to try and smash into it, like, riding the box that you're currently on, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to smash into anything yet. He's going to try and figure out how to steer this thing and look around from top to bottom, because like you said, this carriage is really tall. So there's probably details, like, up near the ceiling that he can't see down here.
Okay. As you... Alright, you kind of fiddle around with the little control panel a little bit more, but as you once you kind of like tap on it with a claw, as you go to drag your claw away, it kind of drags up instead of just like it drags up along the panel rather than just immediately off, and you notice that the box starts drifting forward very slightly as you do that. So like, give me a quick investigation and to see if you can figure out how to otherwise steer it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it moves.
You have, with a 7, you managed to figure out how to make it move forwards and backwards, and that's it. So you realize that dragging your claw tip forwards along the little control panel makes it like speed up, and dragging it backwards makes it slow down, and then eventually start speeding up backwards.
Okay.
That's all you've managed.
Okay, and like I think he's sort of comically drifting backwards, and like it's not very high up, so she's probably just standing there watching this thing like glide forwards and then backwards. He's like, well, I'm not sure if this accomplished anything helpful, but at least it hasn't exploded, so that's a positive in my book.
When you do manage to start getting it moving, and it looks like you're getting it moving purposely, she does actually kind of give a little jump and start clapping and applauding you, clapping her big paws together. So, like, she is excited over that, and it's like, oh, it may not do anything, but you learned something new, didn't you? I suppose we can use that again later, maybe. Hopefully.
Hopefully. I think he's going to try and stop it, just like slide his finger so it's kind of in the middle and take it off, hoping it stays there.
Well done, you managed to make it stop. You are still...
I think that's...
This whole time you have still just been hovering like a foot in the air, but that's it.
Yeah. Right. I think he's gonna like get out of it for a second and actually talk to this lady, because he hasn't done much. Also, he's still got this little glass J that's tweeting. Does she like notice this? I guess it's a conversation piece.
I suppose she's kind of been staring at it, but she hasn't really wanted to ask questions because, like, again, she has no idea who you are other than like, all right, you seem to be stuck here, and you do seem to be nice. You do seem to care. However, she still doesn't know what's going on, and she doesn't know what counts as a rude question or not. So asking what's with the bird might be a bit. She's just going to stand there nervously for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, he's gonna get out. Well, that's enough horsing around. You can call me Oscar. People used to.
Oh, Oscar. That's a beautiful name. I think I've got an uncle called Oscar somewhere, but who knows anymore. My family's pretty big, but it's a pleasure to meet you.
And for the first time this whole time, he actually manages like the tiniest semblance of a smile, and he shakes her hand and says, Oscar Andrew Ward. I haven't used that name for a very long time.
Oh, well, what else have you been calling yourself then? Oh, sorry if that's rude. I didn't mean to. It's just
No, it's not rude. I'm just that's something I'm processing.
Fair enough then, Mr. Ward. It's a pleasure to meet you. Still not quite sure what we're doing in this place, but at least we're not going into it alone.
Well, if I give you a small tour of what I've seen, maybe you'll be able to put more together than I have. I'm sure you've you've got a mighty intellect. Housekeeping, that is hard work. Anyway, so we've got this room, which is full of gunk tanks, which we came out of, which were helpful for putting us back together, but I don't thrust them as far as I can throw them. And through here, and I think he's going to walk through the little door. He says, we have a gigantic heap of, I assume these are things from other carriages that are being brought here if they're not working right. Oh, my wee friend here, the Blue Jay, that's one that I've requisitioned from the heap. I don't feel inclined to put it back. I've got a bit attached to this wee thing.
Well, he's a wonderful looking accessory, if I do say so myself.
Oh, well, normally I would say it complements my colour scheme, but at present, he's looking at his hands, which are still completely grey.
Oh, is there something wrong?
Let's move on. So he's just gesturing at the room and saying, so there's a door down on the left. That seems to be where things that are really broken go. Wouldn't recommend going that way. And to the right seems to be where they send things that might be able to be fixed. And this is a bit weird, but some of them seem to be like the people you meet on this train.
Oh, you the other people? Like they're not broken now, are they?
Well, not. They are kind of like people, but also not. I mean, hang on, let me introduce you to my friend over here. And he's gonna try and find that mouse again.
Alright, the mouse is still in the same spot where you left them before. They're still just kind of lying there, staring blankly, and just humming every so often, as if they just kind of, They're entirely fine with the situation they're in.
Okay, I'm glad they're at peace. So yeah, he gestures and he says, I met some creatures like these in the first carriage I was in, which was a long time ago. But try having a conversation.
Alright, Tatamailin kind of like looks at you, like unsure for a second, looks over at the mouse and just kind of like, okay, and steps forward, like all hunched up, gives the mouse a little, is like, well, hello there, sir, ma'am, it's a pleasure to meet you. And the mouse, like, does that little staring off into space for a while before its eyes eventually drift over to where the sound is coming from, just goes like, hello, welcome. Oh, thank you. I gotta say, not the most welcoming place I've been so far, but it is lovely nonetheless. It's a great place. We're all very happy here. I'm glad to hear so. I don't suppose you could tell us what's going on at all, could you? Well, we're all very happy here. We're all very, 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 very happy here. And Tatterdemalion kind of just takes like a hesitant half step back. She's pretty unnerved by the blank stare.
If she's okay with it, he's going to give her a pat on the arm.
Yeah, she won't flinch back or anything this time. She doesn't she doesn't respond to it fully, but there is like a little bit where she does kind of turn towards you a little bit as she's looking around and trying to pull her gaze from staring at the mouse. I'm just going like, I see what you mean about them not quite being people, but surely there's just something that's got to fix them, right?
Yeah, when I went through that door, there was one person, and he says it with the hesitation, who was being injected or something. I mean, it wasn't quite the same process as we've been put through, but I can only assume that it's their way of fixing these people.
Well, then I hope she does get wind up in there soon enough. I wouldn't want to go messing any of this up, but it's... I can't say it's very nice to go lying around in a junk heap like that, and if she's staying there out of choice, then, well...
The thing is, there's an awful lot of things that need fixing in here. I think this train is breaking things faster than it can mend them.
I wouldn't be surprised. I can't say that I didn't break my fair few of things, though, when I first came in, but let's promise it was accidental. It's just... I don't know what's going on here, and I don't really like it. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yep, my jeebies are fair heebied myself. I mean, again, not saying that there's much reason to, but there's two other rooms. That one that's a long way down and sounds like just a dismantling facility, and I don't think we would benefit from the experience, but we can go through to the other room, the reparations room.
Well, have you tried going up there yet? And she actually points upwards because she got a better perception check than you did.
Oh.
And as she points up towards the ceiling, you look up past the top of the junk heap, past where the rails where the train went past are gone, and you look straight up in the ceiling directly above you guys, seems to be a hatch. It's closed at the moment, but there does seem to be something there that looks like it might open.
For the first time, he feels his heart. It's like just been a dead space up until now, but it actually sort of hiccups when he sees that. And he grabs her hands and he says, Tatters, you are marvelous. Hold on a second. And he's going to scurry back through the door and get that pod and try and get it through the door into here, because it's the only thing he has that floats.
Well, alright, as you push it, like, whenever you push it along, it moves along very easily, because, yeah, it's floating. There's no sort of resistance as you move it. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to try and get it up there, but you have got it, directly underneath the hatch now. Oh, come on, really? Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. Sorry, I just sent her a message saying that they were cutting out again. I'm like, but I did follow what you're saying. I think he's going to, if he's put it beneath it, try his darndest to try, he's going to try, every symbol until he can figure out how to make this thing go up. But before he does that, he's like, this may be a bit of a ride, but that looks like our best possible way of getting out of here. Do you want to come with me?
Well, certainly better than staying here, I guess. Will do. And she comes and sits on top of the floating box with you.
Yay! Happy time adventure. I think actually at this point the grey has started to turn a bit sepia. It's like this is the first show of colour he's had at all since waking up. That's really something.
I think she probably does notice that, especially as she would be sitting reasonably close behind him, because there's only so much room on the box. So she would actually feel you warm up a little bit. Unfortunately, she doesn't know you well enough to know if that's a good thing or not, so she definitely won't comment.
Yeah, he's not offering any explanations. He is 100% just focusing on this machine right now and trying to get it to move vertically in the upwards direction.
Now it's kind of just like, oh, what would I get you to roll to figure this out again? I think it's gonna be,
He's gonna just keep trying until something works, is the thing. Or it explodes.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, tell me what sort of things you're gonna do, considering you know so far that the thing is a touch screen. Pushing forwards makes you go forwards, pulling back makes you go backwards. What do you want to try?
Well, he's going to assume that side to side would move him side to side, but dimensionally, the z-axis he hasn't accessed yet. So he's going to try and press in the middle of it.
As you press in the middle, you kind of hear something small go beep, and the it sinks down to the ground.
Well, I mean, it's on the right axis. I've got to figure this out somehow. And I don't know, can he make an intelligence check again?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh man. You see, I put is a barbarian.
Yeah.
He's a barbarian. We all have our dump stats. I mean, he doesn't have a negative in intelligence, but I decided out of the two that when it comes to making art, wisdom is what you need. So that's what I put it in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if
10.
you're going to be tinkering with things, you kind of got to know the mechanical side of things as well.
Yeah.
With the 10...
But this is Grandad with a touchscreen for the first time. Yeah. So...
All right. With a 10, I will let you know. Oh, yes, you were correct about if you swipe to the side, it does start moving sideways. You also managed to learn that if you kind of move your finger a little bit forward and then in an arc, you found a way to turn it around. You now know how to make it turn. As you actually doing those sorts of things, it does kind of start hovering about a centimeter above the ground again, just so it can turn without going screech along the ground. But you haven't yet figured out how to make it go up. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. This is the comedy. We needed some comedy. I think even the birds, probably the chirping may have changed tone into sort of, are you sure? Are you fucking sure about this, Grandad?
Certainly sounds like it.
And the truth is, he's not sure at all, but he's going to keep trying. But he does say, I think you've got as good of a shot of doing this as I have. Do you want to go?
Well, it certainly can't hurt, I guess. She doesn't have much in the way of intelligence either, though. I do apologise. She's got... Both of them have plenty of wisdom, but not much intelligence.
Oh dear.
However, she does.
I love you.
She does apparently have the good dice rolls, because that was 17.
Yay.
With this, she kind of like leans over and does that pressing into the middle again, and feels it kind of sink that centimeter, going clunk back on the floor. And then she kind of like lifts her finger back up. It doesn't make any difference. So then she presses like her finger onto the very outside of it, and it does start slowly rising.
Tatters, you are magnificent. And he's just going to let her do this because he doesn't want to break the magic. Also, I have to say, if I was presented with a touchscreen, touching the outside of it to go up is not something I would think of to do.
This is the design here is. Again, I can't say stuff unless because it counts as spoilers. I will say the design here is not entirely intuitive because it's made by someone that doesn't think in the same way a lot of humans think.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
If it turns out to be pecking Wheatley, I swear to God. Anyway, okay, so we're just gonna ride this thing vertically and like. I mean, we've figured out how to do up and forwards and sideways. Can we get to the hatch?
Yeah, so you managed to, so Tatamalian is like, she's just like, oh, well, I do try, when you compliment her, and she does kind of keep steering it over your shoulder, because again, she's like a full fucking head taller than you are, and when I say head, I mean like her entire head, which is pretty big. So she can just kind of lean over you and use the touch screen over your shoulder, and manages to get you all the way up to the ceiling. You are very high up. Please do not fall. I don't need you to die from fall damage again. But you do manage to get up to the ceiling. The hatch is currently sealed shut, but you can poke at it now.
Not for long! He's going to do anything he can to open it, but I think he would actually just try to open it normally to begin with.
Yeah, give me strength. So, like, you grab onto, like, the wheel in the center of it and give me strength to see if you can manage to turn it open.
Okay. 5! Oh my God! I think he's still got some gunk on his hands as well, so it's, like, slipping. He can't get a grip on it.
Oh no. I was like, oh, let's see it. Like, if you're close a bit, like, let me have a go. Sorry, she's gonna have a go as well. If she gets this,
bring the good rolls.
No, alright, that's only an 11. It's enough, like, you can kind of, there's like a bit of and she manages to get it turned a couple of centimeters, but not very far before, like, it gets stuck, and she has to, like, let go and, like, shake out her hands, going, oh, that's a tough one now, isn't it?
Hold on, I've got an idea. And he wrings out his scarf, which you said is still pretty gunky, and he's going to use the gunk to lubricate this thing.
You know what? That's pretty good. I have another go at strength with advantage because you've done this now.
That's 21. I think that's going to do it.
No, do you want to see if you can get an 20?
Yes, what would happen when a nat 20 just fucking comes off? No, a 3. Okay.
Never mind, that's a nat 1. That's the opposite of what we wanted. But with
we don't look at that one.
With a dirty 21, you do, however, actually manage to get it open. And it's so much easier. Obviously, it must just be closed from disuse at this point. And you manage to get it open, and you can now get outside of the carriage if you choose.
Oh, he's absolutely going to do that. I will ask, like, is it safe to just climb out of the thing, or would it be advisable for them to ride the pod outside?
Riding the pod outside would probably be the safer choice, but also it's entirely up to you how feral the engineer feels like being.
I think just because he is still actually, he's still a tempered down version of himself. Like, he is still a very, very desaturated version of sepia. He's not like old movie color yet. He's in the grey zone. But he also has recently had a bad time with falling, so he's not going to take any chances. I think, yeah. Right. And also, like, they've just managed to figure out how to use this pod, and it may come in handy later. So, like, yeah. They're going to ride the pod.
That's entirely fair. All right, you raise up the pod a little bit more and you manage to actually get it out through the hatch. and you are on top of the train. The pod continues hovering in place, but as you both get out, like Tatterdemalion lets out a gasp as you just see the absolute nothingness where the train is. Now, like this whole like D&D series draws a lot of inspiration from Infinity Train, but this is something where it very much diverges, because when I say nothingness, I mean nothing. You cannot see anything here but sheer blackness. There are no stars, no lights, no ground, no sky. It is just nothing as this train continues on and on and on and on through this nothingness.
Wow.
You can't see where the train begins. You can't see where it ends. Both just kind of fade off into the distance as you look around.
Whoa. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say, just for like safety's sake, that again, like, he has this mechanical capacity, so he's going to, or she is going to, I would hope, Tatters, please be sensible, land the pod on the roof of this train so that they can like get out and like stand on it and look.
Yeah, okay, so you move the pod forward a little bit and then lower it, and it lands with a clunk onto the roof, and it seems almost to actually magnetically stick there a little bit, so it's not going to be going anywhere. And you can climb off and stand on the roof of this train, and while you know you must be going because there's something kind of there's something that you can feel the movement of the tracks beneath you, but there's no wind pulling at you. There's just nothing. Can I actually get a perception check, please?
Okay. Sure. Why not? I've rolled it that many times you'd think I'd be able to remember what my perception is. It is that. I thought it was. Okay. 17.
Both of you got a 17. That makes things easier for me, especially because it's a nice high number. And as you are looking out into this nothingness, you can hear the click-clunk, 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 click-clunk of the train beneath you, and you know now it's definitely a train because you would recognize those sounds anywhere you go. It's obviously a hell of a lot bigger than any other train you've been in, but you know what this is. And as you're listening to that, you can hear a slight disruption in it coming from a distance, and like there's another sound coming. It's kind of a clacker 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 of metal on metal coming from a distance, and you catch movement out of the corner of your eye of something big and shifting coming towards the carriage that you are currently standing on top of.
Oh, good. But oh god, I want to say how he reacts to that inevitably impending sort of consternation, but the truth is, like, oh dear, I think like right now he isn't even like looking at it properly. Like, he may have it in his visual field, but he's not looking at it, he's looking at the train. And this guy's an engineer even now, and his brain is like, it's running the numbers. And not to say he hasn't been angry about the situation up to this point, because oh wow, okay, he has, but it's like up to now he's been inside the train, and he's barely been managing to keep his sanity by just, you know, focusing on putting one foot in front of the other and doing a carriage and then another carriage and then another. It's like to graduate from that kind of myopic view to this, I think that like here, seeing the sheer scale of this apparently literally never-ending train is like knowing that in any one of these carriages could be any number of people undergoing any number of horrible and impossible challenges, like he has, like each one person losing time and themselves and failing or forgetting people. I think something in him snaps, and it's a part of him that's so deep down he wasn't even aware that he had it, or if he was like he's squashed it, and for a very brief moment it just literally looks like he has immolated himself, because he literally for the first time literally explodes, and it's like this burst of fire that comes out of him, and it's not like anything he's experienced before. And while it's like it's fleeting, but it passes through him, and he just turns completely black. All of his feathers just coal matte black, and you can't even see any details on his face anymore. It's just this single solid silhouette wearing a coat, and it's like his scarf was like the only piece of color that he had, but it kind of like condenses into this point of light. And yeah, it's scattering embers, but the thing is, he's not raging. He's gone past that. This guy who's so famous for losing his temper and yelling and roaring and big showy gestures, but he's just standing there, and he's very quiet and still, and it's this very frightening sort of silence. And I think he just looks, and I think at this point I have to ask the DM what this approaching threat's position is, because he's just going to analyze that and do something about it.
The approaching threat on its many, many metal tendrils is coming closer very, very rapidly, each tendril kind of flicking over and moving very fluidly as it races closer. It's currently still about 120 feet away, which is like still like the full length of like a full carriage, but it's definitely coming closer pretty quickly. And like as Tatterdemalion had been watching this thing come closer, she'd been kind of like edging a bit closer to you, just like Mr. Ward, Mr. Ward, I think there's something coming. And then as you ignited, she stumbled backwards to stop herself from getting burnt, and now she's not entirely sure what's more scary, you or the thing that's coming closer. What do you want to do?
Unfortunately, I don't think he can even hear her right now. I think he's immediately just going to try to address this thing, and like that's a good as an outlet for his sort of emotionally detached ire as anything else. And he's only ever used one of these once, and it was just to get the attention of those lovely little mice in the ocean carriage. But he is again. He can two-hand these things, so that means he can attack twice because he's a barbarian, and throw one as a bonus action. So he's going to throw some circular saws at this thing, and something else is going to happen to these, because I did ask you in advance like how you wanted to approach the fact that now this guy is a level 5 barbarian, but also a level 1 sorcerer. Yes, that shit just happened, folks. I think he would apply an effect to these blades. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Cool.
Roll to fucking hit.
So, yeah, I'm just going to roll all the attacks in a row and like see how many of these hit. Oh, God, I completely did not type that correctly. Sorry. There's a lot happening right now.
That is okay.
That one does not hit, surely. That one does hit, surely. That one does not hit. Okay, fine. So one of these hits. How annoying.
It's fine.
Oh, well.
I'm sure you can still do plenty of damage with that one. And also, I've got to say, the thing that you are about to go up against is pretty dodgy, so don't worry too much.
Yeah, I won't. He's not gonna. Okay, so there's 3 of them that go zip, 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 but the one that hits is crackling with a sort of electrical energy, which is a bit unusual. So this circular saw, which is actually a javelin, but with applied flavor, because that's more fun, has what's it called? Booming blade applied to it. So it'll do a d6 plus 2, but if this thing moves, which I suppose it's going to, it will also take 2d8.
Okay. Yep, okay, Cool. You deal a fair chunk of damage. And this creature, like, stumbles as it's coming towards you, and you see it kind of, like, knocked almost to the side. I've completely... One sec, I actually need to update on its health, because, it's got a lot of that. So yeah, you see it stumble to the side as this hits, and the white mask that it's got as a head just kind of ducks down for a moment. And then as it looks up again, its eyes start literally flaming red. And it continues to make a beeline towards you, going faster than ever. And at this point, I think it's probably a good idea for everybody to roll initiative.
Okay. I was going to say, because, like, it's entirely up to Tatters if she even wants to hang around.
Yeah, she's still figuring that out herself, but you know what? We've got to go into initiative because action is happening.
Okay. Oh, a 9. Wonderful. Super. Well, I did already get a hit in, so.
That's, don't worry, the stewardess, that is its name, barely got above you, so don't worry too much.
Well, there's only a couple of us. It's gotta be fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. D20 plus, nothing. That's why did Tatters get to go first? She had the lowest edition.
Because she's wonderful. She deserves it. Do I roll for the J?
No, it cannot attack. I'm sorry. It kind of just sits there and makes noise.
That's fine. I don't want it to get broken. I would be very, very sad about that.
Okay. I think Tatters kind of just like, again, looks at this oncoming monstrosity and then looks at you and is frankly terrified, and I think she's actually not gonna do anything this turn other than scramble up until she's kind of backed up against the box thing again, so she's able to make an escape if she needs to, but for now she's not gonna do anything. Next up, however, is the stewardess, which is going to very quickly, it's not going to quite be able to close the gap completely because it's still a fair way away from you, especially with the damage that you dealt. Yikes. However...
Sorry? Well, no, I'm not sorry at all. Why am I saying sorry?
However, all the various metal tendrils that it has edged in, like, claw tips can move a lot faster than its entire body can. And they can reach a fair bit further than the stewardess can move. In fact, it's going to reach out and... sorry, let me just quickly check. That's okay, fine. It's going to try and stab at you twice with its tendrils. Plus 3... That's gonna hit. That's a fucking...
That's a crit.
Yep, okay. I'm gonna roll damage for that one first then. That's 4d8 plus 4. Take 25 damage, please. That's piercing damage, by the way.
Okay.
Then it's gonna stab you again. That's not going to hit, thankfully. Then it's going to try and grab you, which is a +5. Okay. Gonna try and grab you, and you are... Oh wait, I didn't add a D. Never mind.
Oh, phew. I was gonna say, damn, 2 crits.
Does 3 doesn't get past your armor class, does it?
No, definitely not. No.
Okay. It reaches out one of those tendrils towards you, aiming to kind of wind itself around your leg, but you stomp on it and it darts back quickly. And with its one last attack, it's going to make a go at Tatters to see if it can grab her. And it does not. Tatters quickly bats it away with her handbag. And
Tatters.
That's the end of the stewardess's turn. Engie. Or Oscar, frankly, seeing as that's the name you're currently going by.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think if I may do this as a free action, he's going to take the little blue jay and just put it very gently on the hover box.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Because he's not going to move to do that, but nor is he going to say anything to comfort the lion that he's just terrified. Sorry about that. But he's kind of going through something right now. How close is the monstrosity now?
It's about 40 feet away at the moment.
I mean, if he moves 30 feet, the limbs are probably in range, right?
Yep. There are still limbs that kind of shot out to get. There's two that are close enough because those are the ones that try to grab you guys, so you can definitely attack those.
Okay. But equally, he doesn't like the idea of this thing being close to Tatters. So I think he is actually going to move 30 feet, and he is going to attack her with the big sword that, he also has that. And he does say peck to activate it, but it's kind of like it's so low and so quiet you can't even hear it, really. It's just kind of like this blank noise that comes out. And then he has a flaming sword as well as all this other stuff going on.
Nice.
Okay, so again, shall I just roll to attack twice and then see what happens?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, he is also going to add that booming blade attack thing to this, the cantrip. That's the one. Oh god, that one's not going to hit. Come on, please give me something.
That 21. One does.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And then, oh golly. So yeah, this crazy ass sword that's already on fire is also going to electrocute this thing, given that it will probably move. Okay, that's 24.
Okay, yeah, you, like, the tendril that you're attacking, you managed to wipe out in one go. And yeah, it's just gone. It's just down. Well done. You got rid of that one. So basically the one that was closest, for flavor, I'm gonna say it was the one that was reaching towards Tatters.
Yes, good.
You basically slice your sword down and chop it immediately off, and you actually see the rest of it kind of go recoiling back towards the main body of the stewardess. And yeah, well done. It's got one less weird tendril to move about on now.
Get pecked! Yay!
Okay. Anything else? Now
it's going to take. Nah, I think I mean I've used movement. I've used that, and I don't think he's got any bonus actions he wants to use right now. So yeah.
All right. Seeing in that case, we're back onto Tatterdemalion, and while she is still obviously terrified of everything that's going on, she did see how carefully and gently you took that bird off your shoulder and moved it to the side to kind of keep it safe. So it's like, obviously, you haven't gone completely wild here. There's still a little bit of something in you that seems like it's going to try and protect, and she's really grateful for that. So she's going to try and protect you back. And let me do a quick check and actually see what she can do, because downside of clerics is, like, they have prepared spells which are really annoying. On the other hand, it does mean she quickly can cast Bless on you. So whenever the target makes an attack roll or a saving throw before the spell ends, the target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the attack roll or saving throw. And so basically, for the next minute, you get an extra d4 to all your d20 rolls.
Whoa, like, really? Like, all saving throws and attacks?
Yeah, it's like making attack. Like,
dang.
Yeah, whenever you make an attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, the target can roll a d4 and add that. So yeah, for the next minute, you get an extra d4.
Alright, is that just a one-use thing, or repeatedly?
Repeated for the next minute.
Damn! Tatters! OP! I love it! Thank you!
So even though, like, considering how much you are glowing, it's really hard to tell anything else that has happened, but you do kind of feel like there's so much light going on for you externally, but your whole body is burning. You do feel something that's a much more gentle warmth inside you, and you feel, like, subtly safer. So
yeah, it's this weird thing, like he did this initial burst of flame, but it's definitely settled down, because he doesn't have the cool tiefling feat where, you know, you can be on fire and that's okay for you as a person. But I do think because this is a transformation for him, like there's some special effects. The animation department splashed out a little on this. So yeah, that's cool. He gets the glowy. Thank you.
It's okay. All right, and then it's on to the stewardess, who is going to try and attack you again, because obviously you're the most dangerous one. And oh god, okay, it's going to stab plus
stab.
What?
Yeah, another crit.
Yeah,
another crit.
What the fuck?
Oh wow.
What the fuck?
I mean, like, high stakes, am I right?
What the fuck?
Wow.
Please take another
okay.
24 damage.
Okay. That's a lot.
Are you okay?
Yeah. He's taken quite a lot. I will say that. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And it's gonna stab again.
I'm gonna stab.
I'm gonna tell you right now. This is a very difficult fight. You are not expected to win.
He wants to.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Okay, that one doesn't hit. However, the next thing it's gonna do is gonna make one more go at trying to grab you. It does not grab you. It is, and now the stewardess is very angry, and she's gonna use her flaming gaze, which means that's a spell attack, which completely misses. But fire, like her eyes are already flaming, and so and as she stares at you, balls of fire start shooting out of those and like ricocheting off the roof of the train all around you. She thankfully misses because the shots go quite wide, but yeah, she can do that.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Your turn.
Yeah, I'm just trying to balance out what to do next. So, Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, he does actually have a healing potion. Thanks, Higgs. So I'm not sure, like on balance, whether he would use that or not, considering how bonkers he is right now.
I will note that drinking a healing potion is like the entirety of your action.
Yeah. Give me a second. I'm just trying to navigate emotionally what he would do versus what tactically he ought to do, and which of those he would actually go for.
Go with emotions, I would say.
Yeah. I think he's going to use the healing potion, if only because it's a symbolic character development thing.
He's taking care of himself.
He is. Like, he wants to be able to protect people, and he's not going to be able to do that unless he does something. Also, I think, if you'll permit it, he may be allowed to do something else, but I'll bring that up afterwards. So yeah. I think it's like, I don't remember what the healing potion does, but I think we've usually just been giving it as a d4 plus 4, which is really not a lot.
No, but it is something.
It's something at least.
Okay, I think it's actually, isn't it actually 2d4 plus 4?
If it is, I love you forever.
You know what? I'm going to be nice. It's a good healing potion. It's well aged.
Thank you. It heals me with, it's a cure wound spell. Oh, hello. We've got Higgs in the chat. Higgs has come to my rescue.
Please tell us what it's doing.
Yay!
Thank you so much, Mark. We love you.
Somewhere in the train, Higgs is like psychically channeling this information to us via Discord. Yeah, please tell us what to roll, because I have no idea.
Oh wait, I've actually got cure wounds here. I can tell you out loud. Okay, it's 1d8 plus the spellcasting ability, which we're gonna stick with 4, so it's actually like a d8 rather than a d4.
Okay, fine. It's still a 6. Well, apparently the world wants me to heal 6 hit points. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Thanks anyway, Mark. You tried. Yeah. We love you.
Also, just for hilarious feral flavor, he doesn't drink it. He just chucks this test tube up in the air and just eats it.
Chomp on the glass. Gotta love that crunch.
This guy chugs lava lamps. Like, we've talked about the engineer's questionable taste before. Anyway, thank you, Bunny Man. So, like, the other thing that he can do, and this is part of a feat that he took, is that once a long rest, he can use blur. Would you be okay with me using that?
I think. Yeah, we can. Let's just say yeah. Why the hell not? Say it's part of your bonus action and go with it. Yeah.
That's extremely generous of you.
Okay,
so
right.
yeah, I think I'm going to use that.
I'm willing to be really generous because this is a very difficult fight, and I'd much rather it be flashy and fun than mechanically accurate.
Thank you. That is very kind of you. I mean, like, I don't know if I would as a DM because I'm mean. So for the description, blur. Your body becomes blurred, shifting and wavering to all who sees you. For the duration, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. And yeah, so all of your attacks against this guy who is acting under the name of Oscar, which is a terrible pun name again. Yes, Oscar A. Ward. If you all got that, congratulations. Is horrible, isn't it? So yeah, that's what he's done with this action. I don't think he's going to move. He's just going to stay there.
Fair enough. Well, next up is Tatterdemalion, and she's going to have a look at how damaged you've just gotten so quickly, because you've just taken like 2 serious amounts of damage, and she's going to duck forward and put her hand, or at least try to put her hand on your shoulder, and just go, Mr. Ward, I think we need to get out of here. And she's going to cast Cure Wounds on you, because she has that as well, so you're going to get a little bit of extra health here, thankfully.
Oh my gosh, I love this line so much.
6. Okay, alright, so you heal up another 11 health. But
That's
yeah,
extremely nice, thank you.
But yeah, she's trying to kind of like tug on your shoulder and go like, Mr. Ward, we need to get out of here. And that's all she can really do for her turn, because she has moved 30 feet and done a spell, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Next up's the stewardess again. Fuck. Alright, she's gonna...
I'm more worried about Tatters. I'm more worried about Tatters than Angie, I swear.
Thing is, now that you guys are really close, it can do like... It could do something else. It is gonna try and basically shoot at you again with its flame eyes. One sec, D20 plus 5.
I mean, he does at least have resistance to fire.
Yeah, okay, this is shooting at Angie. Or Oscar.
Nope.
Does not work. This is shooting at Tatters. That does work. Fuck.
Oh
okay.
no, and she's made of cloth. Oh god.
Thankfully, I did not give her, like, she's not going to take extra damage for being cloth, thankfully. Partially because I reckon she's still sopping wet from the, from the tank.
Yeah.
But,
Good.
Oh god, how much damage is she taking? That's 1, 10, that's 2... Okay, so she takes 5 damage. Thank you for being patient while I juggle like 3,000 tabs.
I totally understand.
And now that it's shot at both of you, and it's pretty unimpressed by the damage that it's doing, it's going to use Spin. Which, that's gonna basically... Okay, so that's a 21. That's gonna hit both of you, because this is like an area attack, and realistically, but it's like, it's a bit of a weird one. Realistically, it should be one where you guys have to roll dex to dodge, but it rolled well. I should have probably adjusted that better. Oh well.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, basically, what it does is it kind of props itself up onto only a single one of its metal tendrils. All the like hundreds of others lift up into the air, straight out, and just spins like fucking helicopter blades, and it comes whirring towards you guys and hits you both for a bunch of damage. 2d10. You both take 18 damage. Yay!
Golly. Okay.
Tatters is mechanically bloodied. Tatters is kind of starting to look like she's in tatters again.
Oh no.
And she's got and it's onto your turn again.
Okay, here's the thing, like, if he was by himself, Oh no, wait! He's got blur. You have to attack again for me, because it's at disadvantage.
Oh, good point. Well, still, Tatter's got pretty damaged, so that's
yeah. No, this is still, like...
Does a 15 hit?
No, it doesn't. You don't hit the not engineer. I'm going to keep calling him the engineer, because he is. He's just having an identity crisis.
Yeah.
He's 60. Like, he's allowed. Okay, hang on. I've just got to give him 18 hit points back. Okay, that looks so much better on the sheet. Wow. Okay, yeah. So he hated that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to risk Tatus taking any more damage. And like, yeah, like if he was by himself, he would totally just like try to hack at this thing's face, probably like try and destroy the main body of it and see if that would actually like shut down the whole thing. But like he's had enough. He's had enough of people dying on his watch. He can't do that again. So I think he's going to do the zip zip zoom. I think he's going to rage, and in so doing he can go crazy fast. So I think he's going to go crazy fast if he can manage to do that while carrying her. Although, like, yeah, like how is that going to work?
I don't think you're going to be able to. Like, I mean, you
no,
can roll.
I can't. Can I?
No.
Okay, we're gonna like retreat and try and get in the pod. I think that's the only course of action to take.
Yeah, okay. Let's yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be the only thing that you can do. The good news is like both your turns are like right next to each other, so I'm going to say you both can run the 30 feet back to where the pod is if you want. You still have an action. Do you want to use your action for anything, or
let me have a look.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Can this thing be affected by blindness?
Is this like magical blindness?
Yes.
I would say probably yes.
I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna use that. So yeah, hang on. It's a Constitution saving throw you have to make. So yeah, he's just going to, again, like he doesn't really know what he's doing right now. But he raises a paw and he makes a gesture, which will mean nothing to anybody else there. But when he's doing film work and you have to be very quiet on set, there's a hand gesture, and I've actually used this in real life, which means cut. So he's going to cut to black and try and get this machine to be affected by blindness so that they can escape.
That's so cool. Okay, do I need to roll something? Do you need to roll something?
Yes, sorry. It's a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. Ooh, this might be...
Yeah, it probably has good Constitution is the problem. Oh my god.
Sadly, yes.
Damn it! Yeah, it doesn't work.
That's a dirty 20.
Work.
Sorry.
Yeah,
no.
So...
if anything...
Well, at least they're in the pod.
You kind of see, like, for a split second, the flames in its eyes kind of dim for a moment, and then they flare up again even brighter than before. Okay, you and Tatterdemalion kind of hop into the pod, and thankfully Tatters still has her action. She's actually going to use her action to steer the pod, because while she has technically used up her movement, she can use her action to count as extra movement of the pod, and she's gonna just take it back down into the carriage, because at least maybe
why?
Oh, I mean, alright, you can use like speech as a free action. If you want to yell, go ahead. But
damn it! I don't know if he. What is the problem? No, you know what? No, you know what? He's got a plan. Yeah, that's totally fine. Do that.
Okay, but yeah, Tatters is going to get back into the carriage, and frankly, she has used up all her actions and movement and everything, so she can't go to close the hatch or anything. But you guys,
that's good. I don't want her to close the hatch.
Okay, alright, you are just inside the carriage then, and it's the stewardess's turn, and it's going to use its full action to kind of get as close as it can. Its full body isn't quite close enough, but it has got its tendrils coming out again, and it's going to be stabby, oh, actually grabby, stabby first. Let's do...
So if we're down in the hole and it's outside of the hole,
yeah,
like, that's going to be quite difficult
you guys.
For it.
It can't see you, so it's actually going to be at disadvantage here. So this is trying to grab NG. Oops.
Yeah, definitely not. And he's got
and then,
already. So
yeah. So well, thankfully disadvantage doesn't stack up. Trying to grab Tatters. Oh wait, disadvantage. This might.
Yep.
This might.
Praying.
Thankfully, this doesn't get her. Okay. And again, it gets 4 goes. It gets to do lots of this shit. So I have to do this.
All at disadvantage.
Too many times. Okay, it's really frustrated that it hasn't managed to get anyone, and it's going to try and just blindly stab at someone. Again, with disadvantage. Does a 15 hit you?
No, it
does it?
doesn't.
It doesn't hit Tatters either. So like as that final stab kind of comes down, it clatters just off the edge of the like box that you're on, and you can feel the box kind of wobble, but it doesn't do any proper damage. And NG, it's your go.
Okay, so here's what he's actually going to do is right. So he wants to take this thing out. So he's going to like hope that it's going to shove its great big ugly mug down through the hole, and he's basically going to ready his action, and he's going to attack what he can perceive to be like. There's got to be a core to this machine that has a processing unit, and what he wants to do is destroy that. So whether it's the mask or like just the nexus of all these noodly things, he's going to wail on that the first opportunity that he has.
Okay, do you tell any of this to Tatters? Because she's ready to just keep running away. She does not like conflict.
Yeah, I think he does. I think his director self does manage to reinstate itself, and he says, "Don't retreat."
Okay, in that case, I'm gonna say she kind of picks up on what you're doing and realizes that, oh, okay, this is something that might actually work. So she readies her own weapon, which happens to be her handbag. Mechanically,
yeah, girl.
Mechanically, it's a mace, but realistically, she's ready to hit this thing with her handbag.
I love that mace handbag. There's so many jokes there. Have you got mace in your handbag? No, but
exactly.
I love you.
So
okay,
she's got her so she's gonna hold her sorry, which means now it's the stewardess's turn, and it's got like a couple of tendrils come in first, and then it peers its giant head in, and this head, like, you could see it was pretty big from a distance, but now that it's actually close as the first time you get to see it properly in scale, because the mask itself takes up nearly the whole hatch as it actually pushes through. In fact, the hatch is basically the perfect size for it to go squeezing through. You could say they were maybe almost meant to fit together. And before it gets a chance to do anything, your prepared actions go off.
Awesome. Okay, please go to the dice. I get 2 attacks. Please have at least one of these hit. 21.
That hits.
That one hits.
That doesn't.
Come on. Boo. Well, at least he gets this. And yeah, he's absolutely just basically going to stab this thing. Like, put that blade in as far as it will go. And all the rest of that's entailing. Another 20.
Ooh, yeah, no, this thing's not looking in good shape, and sadly Tatters is not going to be able to do quite as much damage as that, but she is certainly going to try.
Every little helps. Come on, Tatters.
She kind of she whacks it with her handbag, but obviously she's scared and shaking at a pretty weird angle as you're sitting in a floating box. And doesn't quite actually manage to do any damage to this mask, unlike you. So you can see the stewardess kind of recoil here, but it doesn't pull fully back. It's just like a little, now it's like the head was through before, and now it's just a tiny bit back from the hatch, but it can still look into the carriage. And Engineer, it is actually your turn again.
Is it really?
Yeah, because you were held your turn from last time.
If you're sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say no, because he's going to do the same. Like, so I imagine this sword is like all the way in this face, and he's just going to rip it out vertically. He's basically inflicting as much damage to whatever is in this thing as possible, in the hope that he hits something critical that will make it die, basically, or at least stop functioning.
That doesn't hit.
I didn't think so.
That does.
Okay, yeah, okay, so yeah, he pulls it out and he does the exact same thing.
God, yeah, no, okay. Alright, yeah, so the stewardess is really not looking great. She's looking like her mask is cracked and blackened from the fire that you have, and like thunder and lightning such, that you have been hitting it with. and you can feel her definitely pulling away. But before she gets like the full chance, though, it's actually Tasha Stone who's gonna have another go with her handbag, because she's kind of at this point she's doing that thing where, you know, she's got her eyes shut and she's kind of flailing her hands about as she's trying to hit it. So sadly, it does not work.
I love her so.
But so it's the stewardess's go again, and it pulls away completely from you as you have like stabbed it again. It's not happy. It's looking seriously damaged. It's lost one of its tendrils, and it just goes like, you know what? Fuck this, basically. Its flaming eyes go from red to purple for a moment, and it backs up, like kind of basically sits up completely, mask looking towards like the front end of the train, and then you can hear clatter 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 clatter, and the sound of like a hatch opening as it has vanished down the train a little bit further and gone in a different hatch. And we can drop out of initiative now, because well done. You scared off the stewardess.
He's kind of pissed. He kind of wanted to like get in there and really mess with it. But, you know, again, like that's part of this really weird sort of detached anger that dissipates, and he looks exhausted because he comes back from black. He just fades into this, again, this fairly desaturated sepia color. And for those who are wondering how where he's power sorcerer now, he's got a lot going on with his genetics. But the thing is that lovely pink scarf, which meant so much to him, the whole thing about the engineer is his passion for film and living is very much driven by love and family and that kind of emotion. So this scarf has kind of become a representation of that, and it reforms after having basically exploded, and that's his arcane focus now. He has a scarf that is kind of magical, and it's yeah, again, like the only colorful thing about him, and it kind of glows a little bit, and then it's just a normal scarf. But he's exhausted. Wow, he's very tired now.
Like, Tatters is gonna kind of just like pat him on the shoulder a couple of times. How damaged are you still, by the way?
He's pretty good, actually. I mean, that cure wounds from her was like really welcome. He's okay. He's not in a dire situation. Also, thank you, Higgs.
Yeah, in that case, yeah, Tatters is going to just like pat him on the shoulder a couple of times, going like, "Mr. Ward, are you all right? You in one piece, sir?"
In a lot of ways, I feel quite a lot better than when I started out coming out of that tank. I don't think we have long to make this decision. We have an opportunity at this point to leave this carriage and go somewhere else on this train using this pod, while that thing is not here. I suspect it has gone to get repaired. I would suggest that we act quickly. What would you like to do?
Oh, well, sir, I to be plumb honest, I really don't know what's going on. I don't know where to go. I don't want to meet that thing again. It's frankly terrifying. But you seem to know how to handle yourself, sir, so if you don't mind me saying, I'd quite like to stick with you.
Well, if you feel like that's a good idea, and he's not sure that people hanging with him is a good idea considering what's gone on, but he's not going to deny the request, and he says, there are two people on this train who I owe a very deep apology to. I'm going to try my best to find at least one of them. I can drop you off at any carriage that would pass on the way, but it could take me a while.
Do you know where you're going, sir?
Absolutely no pecking idea.
Well, neither do I. So, together?
Aye, together. And I think that's what they're gonna do, like, go back out of the hatch and zip zoom along. I mean, he could try to use this little computer to trace a signal. Like, the last carriage he was in is actually probably where he would want to start from. But this may be a good point to stop the game, I don't know.
I think this is a good point to stop the game. We would need to kind of figure out how the heck he's going to get back to anywhere, because the problem is this transport wasn't for him, it was for Tatterdemalion. So it would take her back to the last carriage she was in, rather than but at the same time you've fucking hijacked it now. So
Sorry.
I think probably the best thing to do for now, because I feel like this is a good ending, is to just watch as the engineer and Tatterdemalion like continue sitting in this box as it rises up out of the hatch and then just starts speeding along down the length of the train, as beneath them the train continues to clatter along its own tracks and into the nothingness as it continues on forever. And we fade to black. And that's that.